Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gills, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure? It's cultist coffee. What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. How is everybody feeling this morning? I was having some technical problems. I lost my audio last night when we were doing the Super Mario Brothers last night, which was fun. I enjoyed that. But I finally figured out how to get my audio back. So resolved those technical problems, and I am here this morning. I enjoyed the Super Mario Brothers game last night. I thought that was fun. I do wish that it had a little bit more of a concrete ending. I didn't know you were supposed to play through that game twice. So I did it, but even after you go through it twice, you need a little bit more resolution to the ending there. At least let you know. So don't send me another quest. Tell me that, hey, I'm done. So how's everybody doing this morning? It's World Building Wednesday. Mike is here. Oh, started a new job. Wonderful. No problem. Good to see you, Mike. Vision is here and Stray. Jay's here. Good morning, Jay. What do I mean by strange characters? Well, sometimes we get them coming by, don't we? So, welcome, everybody. Welcome. It is World Building Wednesday. We're going to be talking about the Tales of Rabivania. I've been trying to change up the way that I've been doing some different things around here, so to get more stuff done. So we'll be talking about that too. Nope. You pulled an all-nighter accidentally, but I took a shower and feel fresh. Good morning, Andrew. I can't do the all-nighters anymore. All right, so we're going to be going over to the Tales of Rabivania today and what is going on with that, and also sort of how I'm going to do some other projects going forward. So we're going to get into our world primer in just a second. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by the Cool Name RPG. Cool Name is being built from the ground up and doesn't rely on 5e mechanics. Support its development now on Kickstarter. The Morning Grind is also brought to you by World Anvil. Check out the World Anvil website to learn more about everything that it can do for you and your world building and your games, and also be sure to use the code MORNINGGRIND to get 40% off any annual World Anvil subscription. I knew World Anvil was great for game masters and for writers who are developing their worlds and want a beautiful site to display and manage all of that information. But what I didn't know is that World Anvil also offers extensive tools for players, including character sheets, journals, inventory management, and spell books, basically all the digital tools a player who is looking to immerse themselves in their character would need. We're going to be using World Anvil here on The Morning Grind to build out the worlds of Rabivania and Theophany, so we'll get to see it in action here as we go on the show. Alright, that's it for the messages. Let's get to the main topic. There you go. So, actually, a couple of things there. First of all, I do want to see how Cool Name RPG is going. Hey, Zero the Blade. Good morning. I'm going to go over and see how they are doing over there because I am curious. Cool Name RPG. I was thinking about the Black Flag RPG a lot yesterday. So they are at $9,375, 151 backers, 23 days to go. Over there, I'll post the link in the chat. Cool name RPG. I was thinking about Black Flag last night and yesterday. What are people thinking about that? After I've kind of been through it, I saw that the rules lawyer had posted a breakdown more about what his thoughts were, because we were just kind of looking through and seeing what was there. But I noticed that he posted a video that was kind of like what his thoughts were regarding the status of Black Flag and what they were trying to do, perhaps from a game design perspective, and what type of feedback they'd received. So I thought he did a pretty good job breaking things down. I was wondering, I think I was liking it. I think that perhaps, there was a lot of stuff that was in it that seemed like I was going over Advanced 5e again. And I remember being rather excited about Advanced 5e when I was going into that, but not quite so much with Black Flag. But that could be just because we did them back to back. So I'm going to have to think more about that. All right. Let's bring up the Tales of Rabivania World Primer, because I'm almost done with this. There was big news in the Rabivania world building today, or actually earlier this week, which I have brought up before, which on Monday I had a meeting about the Tales of Rabivania script and to prepare the script. So remember, one of the things I'm doing here on the Rabivania side and the Theophany side, which is the long shot, is trying to prepare a movie pitch with the material as well. So in preparation for that, the first thing I was doing was I was preparing the beat sheet for the show. So for the what could become either the novel script or the movie script. And I have been fighting with trying to come up with what the first story for the Tales of Rabivania is going to be since August. And I was very pleased that on Monday, the beat sheet's basically the outline for everything that the first story is going to be. And I was very pleased that on Monday, it was about 95% done. We went over it with the guy who has been helping me out, basically mentoring me, who is out in LA. And he finally gave me basically approval to begin writing the story. So now, see, that's a big task, and I want to make sure that's being worked on, but I've got to work on some of these other projects to actually get them finished and done. That's why I'm changing things up. But he gave me basically approval for that. And so even though there are still a few details to work out as far as what that story is going to be in certain details, all the plot points are there. And so I can start writing a script. And the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to write the movie script. So I'm going to write it's going to be 120 pages, 120 page movie script for the first story that I want to tell in the Tales of Rabivania, and then make that over into a novel as well. So I'm behind in writing the stories, behind from the perspective of where I thought I would be, because I had already written a book I wanted to be releasing by now, but it got bounced, and that's fine. Oh, yep, sip, Millmaster. Thank you very much. Let's all do that. Let's breathe and sip. I got mine right here. Let's breathe. So there we go. So I'm going to be working on that. I'm reducing my core creative time. So it's probably going to be an hour a day, but I am working on that. That was good. So on the other hand, though, this is approaching Rabivania from World Building Wednesday as far as the role-playing and world-building side of things go, because this is trying to define the world for role-playing games or other tabletop games, well, or any type of game, really. And it's going to specify that the state of the world basically right before those stories start. So I believe that last time, the last thing we had done was move Druid over to the World Anvil. So we are close to done over here. Now that's good, because I do want to finish this up. There are only 3 sections that I need to finish here. So Weasel, Snake, and Squirrel. I'm in the bestiary, the final chapter right here. So I might try to make a push on this, because we'll need rules for this, and then we'll have to decide what type of rules we're going to add in first. But I'm only 3, which might be like 350 words, something like that. 3 entries away: Weasel, Snake, and Squirrel, to complete the bestiary, and then that will hit the goal of having 10,000 words in the world primer to get people started with what Rabivania is. So I'm also excited to have that almost done. And even though I'm trying to conclude other projects, I do want to finish these 3 sections. It shouldn't take that long. And then that will let us be completely talking about, hey, what kind of rules should go in here? Yes, and I was trying to come up with, I was wondering, ASCII art is basically what that is. I was saying that they were nice, they're not emojis, but ASCII art. Very nice ASCII art. Hayes McGee says, how magical is the world of Rabivania? Not all that magical. Not all that magical. So nobody's going to be throwing fireballs or raising the dead or things like that. But there is some magic. I mean, there is some magic. And the druids, particularly like ritual magic, like the druids, if they're actually trying to cast a spell or something like that, will definitely get together for rituals. And then the witches are known. There's some seeresses among the witches, so they will do dances and things like that to try to, around. Yes, I think so. So like Arthurian, yeah, of course. Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably a good one. Of course, there are lots of different Arthur stories, but I would tend to say something like that. Yeah. So the witches may be able to tell the future or something like that, or read a sign or an augury, but can they? Well, maybe. Okay, so that is where we got. So what we were trying to do is we were saying that in this 10,000 words, we're going to specify the rabbit as a species, as a playable species, because we only got 10,000 words. And then for whatever class or profession it is that we've got, we'll give knight, druid, witch, and then damsel of the blood royal. So let's go over here to the witch. Behold, in the starlight, out of the mists of the other world, walked 3 beautiful does, the witch sisters Balb, Malka, and Aldana. The witches spoke of the moon and of the stars, and of the shared secrets. The witches spoke of the moon and of the stars, and shared secrets of the other world. They danced among the stones, and cast their spells, as Clovis and the druids watched. From Krieg and the Caproctony, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locht. The witches are practitioners of an ancient religion said to have come into the world when the Morrigan and the witch sisters of her court passed into Rabivania from the other world, the land of Tir Duin, in the days of Clovis. Witchcraft is abhorrent to the Locht, and so most openly practicing witches will live on the fringes of Rabivania or in the more remote parts of the countryside where the Locht has less influence and older ways still hold more sway over rabbit life. Villagers who need guidance, charms of protection, or healing poultices will sometimes seek them out, leaving offerings at the entrances to their burrows. The coven's practices involve ritualistic magic and herbalism with the local plants and flowers. Some of the witches claim to be skilled in divination and prophecy by reading the stars, interpreting the flights of birds, or by other methods. The moon and stars are of particular importance to the witches, and their magic may be strongest during the full moon when they hold secret gatherings and rituals. Though witchcraft is distinct from Druidism, there are many similarities in their outlook and philosophies given their shared animistic beliefs. Witchcraft is primarily a feminine practice, although there are a few practicing bucks. These bucks are most often called witches as well, though a few choose to be called warlocks. I've been thinking about that because I think it's also a more kind of medieval practice for both men and women to be called witches. And I'm thinking that maybe I need to use the word warlock for something else. But that is our write-up on the witches. I tell you what, let's put Witch and Damsel of the Blood over into World Anvil today. And then I want to take a look at some art because I've been trying to explore the AI side of this, which you may have noticed was part of the thumbnail for today. I think how that's been developing has been really interesting. So that was Witch right here. Let's go over to Damsel of the Blood Royal. Beside the magus walking in the mist were 9 beautiful damsels, the embodiment of virtue, clad in raiment of white and gold, from the tale of Aidan the Bear, as written by the anchorite of Willow Grove Locht. So this is Damsel of the Blood Royal. The Damsels of the Blood Royal are a quasi-religious order whose members travel Rabivania promoting knightly virtue and the faith of the mother. They frequently appear at tournaments to inspire the chivalry of the knights and give their favors. The damsels are not ordained members of the Locht, and therefore do not perform ceremonies or rites as its clerics do. However, they are exceedingly popular among the commoners and nobles alike, and can expect hospitality wherever they go. As the most trusted paw maidens of the Mages of the Mist, they must sometimes travel dangerous roads on her errands, but there is no shortage of young and gallant knights who are more than willing to ride an escort of a damsel wherever she must go, and perhaps win her favor on the journey. The Mages of the Mist personally inducts virtuous young maidens who are strong of heart and devout in the faith of the mother into the damsels. Upon being taken as a damsel, the maiden sets aside her given name and adopts the name of a virtue the Magus has noted the inductee, I think that's inductee, is especially capable of demonstrating. By tradition, the damsels are 9 in number, but in practice their numbers have varied from time to time based on the needs of the Magus. Though the virtues from which the damsels take their names are not set, but the following names are commonly in use: prudence, charity, chastity, love, joy, faith, temperance, patience, and humility. So that's why over here with our prototype, that's Charity. So Charity is one of the damsels that will be featured in the main story. But the name cycle. The thumbnail is epic. Yeah, okay. It is. It's getting close. That's still not perfect as far as what I want Rabivania to look like, but it is getting closer. Okay, so let's add those two into World Anvil. Which I need to continue to work with on the organization side of things. Let me take this down. Put World Anvil up over here. And now I think we specifically have, we've got a category for profession. So let's use that. So let's go over here, witch. And I got to get all of my permissions right. In fact, we could probably, well, let's see. We'll see about adding a picture here in just a second. But let's say, so let's say that's published. Is it public? Save changes. There's still lots of different places where you can make things public or private and stuff like that. And I haven't gotten all of that worked out. Okay, that's not quite right. We need another space here. The formatting is messing us up, but I can go back and figure that out. But all right, so which is loaded in? This needs. There must be some way to format it with HTML or whatever. But anyway, at the moment, all right, the text is loaded in for which. Let's do the same thing for Damsel of the Royal Blood. Damsel of the Blood Royal. All right, let's make that, save changes, and view it. All right, we have Damsel of the Blood Royal as well. So I wonder how many words that actually means this inside World Anvil, because there'd be 10,000 words worth of not rules stuff inside the World Primer, but that should mean there's actually a little bit less inside World Anvil, because some of the basic headings and stuff like that we won't need. The text from some of the basic headings we won't need. So that means that of a 10,000 word goal inside of Tales of Rabivania, there are 2,605 words that have been complete and at least are over there and installed in the World Anvil right now. So that's good. Let's see what people are saying, and then let's talk about some of this art. Andrew says, are the lifespans more human in range or more rabbit in range? That's one of the difficult things. They are more because because it seems like they need to be more human in range. It seems like they need to be more human in range, just because if I'm telling a story where you've got squires growing up and it's intended to be a story for humans, right? That the rabbit adolescence probably needs to be about the same length as the human adolescence. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. I don't actually think that would be something that would come up too much in the narrative, actually. And I hadn't thought about that as far as the narrative goes, because the story is just the story, whatever it is, and maybe it doesn't exactly matter how old everybody is. But as soon as I started putting together a timeline for Rabivania and its chronology and its history, and then I was like, no, wait a minute. How long do these kings rule? And how long does a rabbit live in the wild? And then I was looking at what is rabbit? I was looking at rabbit lifespan as far as in the wild. It's not all that long, but it says that they can live much longer if they're domesticated as a pet. Obviously, if they're living as a pet. And I was like, well, so they should obviously, if they're rabbits and they all have armor now and they've got weapons, they probably live longer. So that was like, so maybe they live as long as a pet rabbit would, but that's still rather short. And it doesn't really seem like it works well. So I think one of the things that's going to have to be just hand waved or paw waved is that, well, maybe the rabbits do live longer, and maybe that's one of the things you're not supposed to think about. I think it's legitimate to say, let's not think about a couple of different things as far as this goes. Like the rabbits don't have opposable thumbs, but I'm not worried about that. Everybody just picks something up. The mice just pick things up. That seems to be fine for the genre. And then also it seems like they'll probably just live longer and not really think about that too much. Because if you're watching something like I wonder how Redwall handled that, actually. That would be interesting to look into. Because if you're just watching something like Disney's Robin Hood. If you're just watching something like Disney's Robin Hood, you know, it doesn't really matter how long they live or how old they are. But as soon as you're actually trying to build out a world book, it does start to matter. So yeah, the more relatable aspect of this, because growing up is such an important part of this, going through different seasons and things like that, I think is important, and just kind of hand wave that rather than saying that, you know, they grow up in, you know, 6 months or something like that. Mouse Guard went the same route. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so maybe that is also something that happens in the genre more. So Mouse Guard went with the same route with kind of human ages. It's easier. Okay, we got to check out Mouse Guard. So that's probably what's going to happen. Because I do want to put out timelines. I was like laying out timelines of their kings and things like that, and that's when that came up. Okay, so let me take this down. In fact, well, no, in fact, well, I can't share 2 screens at one time. But let's talk about the art situation. Let's see, we also went over the pitch deck for, in fact, let me show that. You're interested in the pitch deck for the movie? I'll show that to you. And then we'll look at some art. Because, so let me bring that up. There's not a whole lot in it. But the structure is there. So if you're wondering what type of structure is there, because the pitch deck structure got approval as well. So if you're here, you are seeing kind of the big. So this is no text. So this is, you'll see, we got like lorem ipsum in there, but the headings and things like that we're trying to do. So, you know, I've been using the art that I had commissioned, Adam Botsford did for Goodnight Sword, which I'm moving Goodnight Sword. That's one of the projects that I've got to finish. And I'm trying to move a bunch of my projects from traditional printing over to print on demand. That way we can get more of these products out. Like we're going to be doing print on demand for the World Primer. So I'm trying to move Goodnight Sword over to print on demand because I want to get these things printed. And so rather than trying to get everybody together for a print run, a traditional offset print run, I'm just trying to, I want to get everything set up for print on demand. So we're going to have the Tales of Rabivania. So this is art from Adam Botsford from Goodnight Sword that is in here. So it's just going to be short. So the Tales of Rabivania, and I don't have an actual name for this story yet. And then overview, logline. We'll discuss logline and genre. We were just talking about that. It looks like we're going to move theme out of here. But so this slide will probably go. So, but I'll and then move and discuss tone later. And then a synopsis here of what the story is going to be. And then we've got going over all the different characters from the main storyline. And we're going to have Philip here. There's going to be a rat, a black knight, a lady bard, a thief, Gadwir, that is the druid, and then Sir Merrick right here. So those are some of our main characters in the main storyline. And then go over an overview of what the world is going to be like. And so that's part of Elmhearth, the Great Hall of Elmhearth right there. These are our visual comparisons, and I do need to change up some of these titles, but these are the visual kinds of comparisons for the kind of story it would be, something like Robin Hood, Redwall, or The Secrets of Nim. But from the storyline comparison, things like Robin Hood's Errol Flynn, Ivanhoe, the Dragon Prince, these type of storylines right here. And then I took this is going to be tone and style right here, and then some imagery here for what it might look like, and also the kind of tone of the film visually. So that is what we're making up over there. Hey, Justice, good to see you. So Justice says, One of the things that contributes to animals having more lifespan in captivity is the fact that we can give them the way better nutrition. Maybe as intelligent rabbit race, they manage that. So yeah, so they probably manage that, and so yeah, they get their nutrition down, and also if they're wearing armor, then you know, death by predator should be reduced. A biology student specializing in the animal care in captivity. Good to see you, Justice. So that's what that's how that's going. So I've also got to put, so that was the structure, trying to get the structure of the pitch deck down, because I think I've talked about meeting with pitch decks and having pitch deck meetings with Brianna before. So we were trying to get all of that structured. And then we'll put more stuff in there. Okay, so I've got, as far as art goes, I got the stuff from Adam Botsford for Goodnight Sword. But I was trying, see, this is the rate at which technology progresses, and I really want to stay on top of this because, let's see, I want to find when I was trying to see if, I believe it was DALL-E. I was trying to see if DALL-E could understand what I was trying to do with Rabivania, and it really couldn't. Let me put up some of this. This was attempts at Rabivania about 6 months ago, getting an AI to understand what I was trying to do. Andrew says, I think 20 years is very long, even for a pet rabbit. You don't want GI stasis to be a major plot point. It also makes mentorship and apprenticing a lot more analogous. Exactly. Seems this leans more medieval than Watership Down. It does, yeah. If it were Watership Down, you could probably get away with more rabbit-like kinds of lifespans. But yeah, exactly. The apprenticing, whether you're going to be a squire to a knight, or you're going to be an apprentice to a blacksmith or a weaponsmith or something like that. And if I want that to be a big part of growing up and part of the story, that does help. Mid-Journey blows DALL-E out of the water. Yeah, so this was, let me see. So let's see. Let me take this down. Whoop. So first, I was getting things like this. So yeah, I was like, well, that's interesting that you can do that. I like the painting style, but it's now that the clothing is not particularly right. I'm having a problem, you know, I with in all of this getting the clothing of the right period to be correct, because this is much later period than I want the Tales of Rabivania to be. But okay, that, you know, that's something. You see, you get this is the weird eye shapes, and see, this is where we were when I was talking with Brian Colin about this yesterday. No, it's about 6 months ago on Table Talk, because we were saying like that we got some weird facing right here. But again, this is way too late period for the Tales of Rabivania. You know, we were like, well, it's been difficult, especially to get an entire style going, which you can do now. Oh, this is funny. Okay, so now I was trying to get it to understand Clovis, because I was working with Clovis, and Clovis is our mythical hero who brought fire to the rabbits, right? And so he's their mythic hero. They're the guy who slew that great monster, brought them fire and all of that. And so I was trying to get DALL-E to understand, all right, I need a realistic looking rabbit in, you know, like Viking or Anglo-Saxon garb inside a Viking hall, you know, something like that. So here's one option. And I was like, okay. That's not exactly it. That's not exactly it. I mean, still interesting that you could get a computer to generate that. But now eventually I did get to something like this. Hang on. Well, there were many attempts at getting this right. Oh, okay. So eventually you do get to something like this, which is closer. That kind of looks better. I mean, as far as, okay, that looks like the rabbit structure, like from, a cartoon where you have anthropomorphic animals. I don't know those words. So, okay, so are the animals, okay, so I looked this up. Walking on its toes and not touching the ground with its heels, as a dog or a rodent. Or, I guess, do they touch the ground with their heels? Mammal walking on the soles of its feet like a human or a bear. I guess that will probably depend on the particular illustration of any particular animal. Now, you can see here, we did talk about that specifically with how the rabbits, the action figures would be. And so these rabbit action figures are definitely down on the complete soles of their feet. And one reason for that is definitely because that gives them really nice basic feet in order to stand up with. So that was discussed here, and it was decided to go ahead and put them down on their feet because we would think that would make them easier to stand up as a toy. So they'll probably be like that, although the particular depiction might vary from animal to animal. Yeah. See, I was trying for both, so I'm not exactly sure. Do we use? When I was thinking about when I was doing the pitch deck, I'm definitely saying that, okay, it's going to be something like animated cell animation. And one of the reasons that I had made that choice is because of the influence of He-Man, like in the style of 1980s cartoons, the Robin Hood movie, things like that. Like, oh, so this would be kind of like looking like traditional kinds of animation. But on the other hand, I do really like some of the stuff that's been done where you can see really realistic looking animals with fur and things like that. And I was thinking maybe that's just too difficult to do. So I'm not exactly sure what type of art style I want to experiment with for the world books. So I was trying to experiment with a number of them. So that one was starting to get there. That was starting to get there. Let me take that one down. See, it gave me lots of just rabbits sitting in chairs. This one is funny. Again, closer if you're trying to get a realistic looking rabbit in medieval clothes sitting in a chair in a hall. Beard Lich says, we had one bun make it to 13 years old. He was a grumpy old rabbit. What eventually got him was paralysis in his hips and bone spurs, making his quality of life tough. Still miss him. I don't have any pet, but if I did, it feels like I should get a rabbit. So, I mean, this is also getting closer, but it's still not exactly what I'm looking for as far as this goes. But this one occasionally it would hit on something. Whoop. See, okay, that one of all the ones that I came up with, I was like, oh, now that one at least looks like it could go with something. But the problem was getting a consistent style and look for a whole bunch of different images to actually illustrate a book or do something like that. That was the issue. Hayes McGee says, okay, I was a professional concept artist a decade ago and was wondering when want to draw a couple of rabbit knights now, hence the question about walking. Yeah, I think when walking, they would be planted on their feet completely. But I think that sometimes, sometimes in the course of the story, they need to all of a sudden assume a more rabbit-like pose, especially if they need to make like a long jump or something like that. So most of the time they're kind of walking around like a human, but then here's a situation where they need to be more rabbit-like and they're about to make a long jump, so they actually kind of crouch down on all fours like a rabbit and then spring like a rabbit would. Andrew says, I had rabbits in my youth. They are a different sort of pet from a cat or a dog for sure. But anyway, this one was pretty cool. But like, as far as moving in a direction where I'm like, oh, there's, you can critique all kinds of small things. But I was like, oh, when I finally got that one, I was like, okay, but the amount of then getting it to generate another one like this is not all that easy. Oh, yeah. Stray says, definitely post them in Discord. That'd be fun. So transition between paws and heels. That would be more like the Robin Hood type of rabbits, mostly on hind paws, but then leap when speed is needed. Yeah, I think so. I don't know this. I think it was interesting what Netflix did with the Yugasi. Very different from Stan Saki's artwork, but flashback bits more to his style. I think the show is even called different, like Space Rabbit or something. I don't know that one. Okay, so that's where I was. But now what I've been doing is I've been trying to work with Stable Diffusion. Has anybody been working with the Stable Diffusion models? They were not easy to get installed. I've been trying to run them locally. And just 2 days ago, I got Stable Diffusion installed. And I was trying to ask it just some basic stuff. I think what's going to happen is I've got to train my own models. Bearded Lich says, make sure you protect all your cords and baseboards. Oh, God. Well, I got cord. Yeah, maybe rabbit isn't such a good idea. I got cords all over the place. They're amazing chewers. Might be a fun thing to add to lore. Maybe make them notoriously able to snap ropes or cables instantly. I haven't thought about the chewing of the hearing and the jumping, but we should maybe add something to jumping or chewing to this racial write-up for the rabbits. But okay, so I got Stable Diffusion running. And then I started to ask it some questions about trying to illustrate Rabivania. And that's where I came up with this. So this is like 6 months worth of improvement in AI. I don't know about it. I think people have brought it up before. An anthropomorphized world of lead samurai rabbits set in the Edo period of Japan. No, I don't. I need to. I should look at that. So it's on Netflix. I think I've got Netflix right now. Okay, I need to look that up. So yeah, so this is 6 months worth of improvement in AI generation. And so this, I didn't even try to do any kind of correction or anything like that, but I was like trying to come up with rabbit druid, basically. So I don't know if I said female rabbit druid, but maybe I did, but something like female rabbit druid or something like this. And this is what it came up with. And so, this is another very interesting kind of style. I mean, this is not the, animated 2D cell style, but it looks really cool. See, like this one here looks more like a woman, and so I don't like it as what. this one has more of a woman type body form and even woman type hands. Now I could go, like I said, I didn't do any type of correction on these at all. I just was just trying to make sure that I had the software up and running and the models were running and could actually generate something. So, but that one's more traditionally feminine, human, female in form. And then this one, hang on. So I'm pretty impressed by the technology in general, and I want to stay on sort of course, I feel like you're already behind on the cutting edge of this, but I also like this one. So this was its idea of a rabbit druid. Hay says rodents are also the only animals to forever produce enamel, but as Bearded Lich says, rabbits aren't rodents; they are lagomorphs. So I like that one too. So the issue is I got to make sure. I don't think that it really understands, like by its base models, armor and particular eras of clothing very well. It looks like I'm going to have to train specific models on that. And once I get some of that look, I should be able to generate something in different styles quite, I think reasonably easily. But it needs to understand 13th century armor, and it needs to understand the particular clothing styles that I want these rabbits to have in order to be able to get that consistent. But I was excited about this when I was going at this, like the druid. So I think what we ought to do as a test here is try to put this image right here. This is a pretty reasonable one, at least for a test, to put into World Anvil to see how it loads up imagery. And I'm also excited about this because when I was doing Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, the Cthulhu world with David LaRocca, we've got the Journey to the Tree of Sorrows YouTube channel. And what we were trying to do is, basically needed, in order to produce a video for Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, it needs three things. It needed a script written by me. It needed to have the script professionally read. And then it needed a piece of art from David. And then, of course, they got edited together. But you needed those three components to basically do a kind of audio book kind of narration, for 3 to 5 minutes or something on some bit of lore. So I could write it, and then we would send it off to be professionally read, and we would get those back. And then once David had a piece of art that was associated for any part of that lore, I could edit it together. And, that didn't take all that long, and we'd produce the video. But the problem was that the art took too long. It took way too long to produce the art. I could write things and get them professionally narrated and have them all here on the computer a lot faster than the art could be produced. The art production was very slow. So that project kind of ground to a halt. And the whole RPG book also, never really happened because the art was taking too long. Well, now I think we're in completely the opposite situation over here, that it's possible that the art can be done much, much faster than I can actually write all of the stuff. So now I'm excited about getting back to work on this and doing the same basic thing for the Tales of Rabivania channel and for the Theophany channel. But I also thought that one of the things that needs to happen is that was just one static image. Like what we were trying to do is we were trying to create that Journey to Tree of Sorrows YouTube channel using just one static image for every piece of lore. But YouTube is a video-based platform, and I always thought that it would be better if each one of those was actually a video rather than a video rather than just a static image. And I did try to do some type of light animation on the image, but that was controversial anyway about whether or not, that was adding or something, or, if that was actually taking away from the artistic look that David had, or the art that David had done, because that's possible. So even getting one image done for each particular piece of lore was too much. it wasn't possible to do 10 for each particular piece of lore and then actually animate them and have a more interesting kind of YouTube video. But I bet that we are close to that point now. In fact, we probably are at that point where not only could I get an image for each piece of lore, I could probably get multiple images for each piece of lore and actually have a much more video-like style to those YouTube videos. So I'm extremely excited about that. I'm extremely excited about that. Stray says, I always like bags, pouches, and pockets. Even baskets on the back are cool. Yeah, for the druids, yeah. See, this is still just a test, but actually for the druids, like I want her to have a staff here. I want her to be dressed in more kinds of robes. You know, she does. You know, I think that she would just be wearing something more flowing down here, some kind of robe-like stuff. The Grand Druid needs to be wearing some type of robe with, you know, the gnarled staff and things like that. So there's still a lot that needs to be worked on here. This was just it took me a while. There was something that was wrong that it took me forever to actually get the stable diffusion models running on my computer. And now the next step is to get some what is it called? Dream Booth. I want to get Dream Booth running over here because that should allow me to train models. And so the next step, I mean, I could play around with generating some more stuff, but really the next step that I want to be able to do is take all of my images for what type of armor they're wearing and all of that and try to train models and see if I can get them actually wearing and looking the way that I want them to. So that's kind of the next step. But let's see about putting this image into World Anvil. So I'm going to come over here. Okay, so max file size limit is 10 megabytes. This might be a, well, no, that's fine. Okay, let's just see what happens. Because, for instance, I noticed that just in general, the models as they were coming out, anytime you're trying to generate Knight or armor or something like that, they generate a whole bunch of like plate stuff, and they really didn't. I was having a hard time getting it to understand historically accurate armor anyway. They did a lot of like fantasy Knight, you know, classic fantasy Knight plate armor kinds of stuff. It did a lot of that. But I was having trouble even getting it to understand mail. Like, I don't say chainmail, but trying to understand mail armor. Okay, let's go over here to my navigation is just not professions. Okay, druid. What I want then, we said that sidebar top, sidebar content panel. I think we wanted to add this into sidebar top. Isn't that what we decided? I think it was when we were trying to figure out how this actually goes. Well, can I add an image here? Oh, yeah, insert an image. Let's align center. Oh. I guess I have to have some type of ID for the image. Maybe that is the ID over here. Yeah, that didn't work. Maybe it just needs the number. Or maybe that's the ID? No, that's his name. Oh, no, there it is. Okay, save changes. Let's check that out. I may need to actually reduce the size of that. Oh, actually, that's pretty cool. Oh. Oh, this World Anvil page is going to be, this whole World Anvil site is going to become quite a thing, I think. Well, hey, I'm proud of that. That looks cool. Hey, Retro Nerd Girl. Good to see you. How do I feel about pixel art? I think it's great for the right kind of project. Like, in general, it's not what I'm going for Rabivania. But I appreciate the retro look, especially if it's like we're doing like the like from the NES and things like that. What were we doing with pixel art or something lately? Oh, I was looking at it for some of the different emojis for the channel. I still may want to get back into that. So I like it for the right application. Please do check out Retro Nerd Girl's channel. Okay, well, this actually makes me happy right there. So, all right, we're gonna be able to come up with some great stuff. Still need, that's not exactly it, but that's close enough for. I need to come up with a great image up here that's gonna, like, for the cover or something like that, and also up here for this. So, all right, but this means I think we're actually gonna be able to develop a whole lot of cool stuff. So, I really want to stay ahead on the technology for both ChatGPT and the image generation for what we're doing here. So, we've got just a few more minutes here, and what I want to do, I'm going to show you a sneak peek of something else, because once I get done with that world primer, I've got to work on some other projects. But the next thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to go deeper into Rabivania. I'm going to go over into Theophany and do a 10,000 world primer for that, because I also kind of think that telling this that perhaps from something that's popular here on YouTube. Of course, I think that once the right people find the Tales of Rabivania and what we're trying to do over here, that it could be very popular, especially once the stories get out. But also, I have a feeling that telling the story of the fall of Satan might be something that a lot of people are interested in. So we've got, we'll do a little bit more Rabivania here because we've got more Rabivania stuff to load up. I've got to finish this, but I'm also going to start transitioning and doing some stuff on World Building Wednesdays for Theophany as well. And so I was trying to just experiment with Sable Diffusion to see if I could get it to come up with anything that was looking right as far as the warrior angels go. So I'll just give you a preview about what that looks like, because I was really impressed with what it came up with for some information for the style of warrior angels that I want. So this is the kind of stuff that will be coming soon as well. Let me find it. Okay, that one. That one. And that one. Okay, here, I'll show you these. So these are my inspiration for something for Theophany. Let me remove that. I think that's pretty cool. Now, see, this is also, I haven't done any type of trying to work with it or touch it up or anything like that at all, because he's got a beard, and I want to get rid of the beard here. And I also thought that it was really interesting that I wanted a spear. I asked for a spear, but it came up with this, what looks like a war scythe actually here. So I think I can go in and I could get it to adjust and try to do something with a spear. I got to get into that. But this is one of those situations where what the AI generated, I was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that, but that really needs to be integrated, because, when you think about the Angel of Death, or you think about the Grim Reaper, really, you think about the scythe, but the scythe is definitely oriented so that it's for cutting grain. It's a grain scythe for a lot of different, I suppose, historical reasons and things like that. But there was a weapon that was a war scythe, which was an adjustment of that, the agricultural implement. But when you have a war scythe, you rotate the blade much more like it's here. So this is a scythe here. It kind of looks like, I'm not exactly sure. It looks to me like it's got like a scythe here, but it's been oriented as a war scythe. And so I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. The Angel of Death needs to use a war scythe, so it doesn't make sense for him to be using like a Grim Reaper style stuff. That's out of character. But actually using a war scythe that looks like that would be pretty cool. So I'm going to remember that idea and then have one of the characters who is like the Angel of Death type use a war scythe. Thank you, Michael. Michael of St. Joseph says, always enjoy these the streams. Very inspiring. I am glad. That is definitely one of my purposes here. Retro Nerd Girl. Wow. Yeah. Hayes McGee says he's ripped. Yeah. Now that's really important for all of the angels when we start getting into Theophany. Now, actually, he's not only is he ripped, he's like super ripped. I think he's got like a 10-pack here. I mean, so like he's got I don't know how you get a 10-pack. I don't know what type of workouts you're doing that cause you to grow those muscles. But I want all of the angels to have this Greco-Roman, the idealized male form and things like that. So in the lookbook, we'll take a look at the lookbook later for Theophany when we're actually getting into Theophany. I'll go over the lookbook for that because I did the lookbook for that one and then got concept art done for Theophany and what the angels look like and what the monsters look like and things like that. So we'll start there. But I put a whole lot of different pictures in of sort of idealized masculine forms, especially inspired by like Greco-Roman images and things like that, because I want that to come across in the form of the angels, which does actually make it sort of easier, I suppose, now to do something like this in AI artwork or animation or whatever, rather than try to find a whole bunch of actors that are idealized in masculine form. He's got a 16-pack. Yeah. So that might be something you have to kind of work on, tell the computer to adjust a little bit. Okay, now wait a minute. He's ripped, but okay, let's tone it down in the ab area just a little bit. So that kind of imagery, I really thought was the kind of stuff that I want to use. And like I said, these were just some of the first kinds. This one right here as well. This one too. Now, see, I think the wing needs to be moved, but I'm not worried about all that right now. Like, this was just, hey, I need these kinds of things, and then this is what it gave me without working on it at all or training any kind of model or something like that. His abs look like a dry riverbed. Do you lift, bro? Put in a 6-pack as a keyword, and he's got beer. Yeah. So I'm excited about this technology. I'm excited about what it's going to let us do here on the channel and what we're going to be able to develop, because it kind of seems like to me, I'm extremely excited about it. And I've got it because it seems like technology may finally be allowing me to do all of the kinds of things that I've wanted to do for years and years and get these things done in ways that are possible. Because I've been looking at different things I needed to get. Retro Nerd Girl says, I love the tone of this story. Yeah, very different story tones with Rabivania and Theophany. And that's why it's fun to go back and forth, because I enjoy working in both. Theophany is going to be very heavy, dark, all of that. Violent. Rabivania can be violent, but on an family friendly level. So it's fun to bounce back and forth between those. And if actually, that's why I started with Rabivania, was because I had just come out of doing Journey Tree of Sorrows, which was dark and heavy Cthulhu. So I intentionally went and did Rabivania. But I'm about ready to go ahead and transition and come back and do the world primer for Theophany and stuff like that. And also censorship. I suppose I should talk about that for just not really censorship, but the what people are accepting of in different stories. Because, okay, so a few times, twice now, actually, people have called me back on Rabivania, which is perfectly fine. I want the feedback. Have called me back on Rabivania for the level of violence, that because I sent some of the original stuff that was about Clovis over to my brother, because I was like, all right, so like, is this something that my nephews would read? And he said, it was like, all right, some of these, when Clovis goes out and fights some of these monsters, like I felt like I was reading a horror story. So I was like, okay, so I need to dial back the level of violence that goes into that. And then Brianna read that opening intro that goes to the world primer, and she was like, okay, part of that got a lot more violent than I was expecting this to go. So I was like, okay, well, that's good to know. So I need to dial that back. But I'm not going to be dialing that back with Theophany. And actually, a couple of times also when I was writing Journey to the Tree of Sorrows, I was writing things and I got called back to not put things in there and remove some things. And there were some subjects that I couldn't touch and we didn't really want to get involved in. And that's because I'm down here in the Bible Belt in the South. And so there were some things that I wanted to do, some of them that had to do with sexuality that got removed from Journey to the Tree of Sorrows. And then there was some stuff regarding, well, just the idea of cults and worship and things like that, that I was going in directions and I was told not to go in those directions because of the religious sensibilities of the area that we live in. But now I won't have those restrictions. So if I do some more Cthulhu on my own, I won't have those restrictions, and I'm not going to have those restrictions when I do Theophany. So I want to be sure that Rabivania is age appropriate. So I like being called back. Like, I would take, because I don't mind. I never liked like when He-Man is fighting things, even as a kid, and, nothing ever dies or he never stabs anything with the sword. I watched Robin Hood, Errol Flynn's Robin Hood, Ivanhoe all the time. Star Trek, Star Wars, there was violence, but not like gore, So I'm okay with having that kind of stuff in the material for the targeted audience. But yeah, I don't want it to be overboard. I don't want it to be gory. So when I hear the call back there, I want to come back. But it's going to be wide open when it comes to Theophany, and if we do some more Cthulhu here. Michael of St. Joseph, how close are you keeping to the biblical narrative for Theophany? That's a complicated question because it's not Theophany is not Christian or Jewish or Islamic theology. It is a fantasy story. I'm not trying to tell a Christian story. Of course, there are extra biblical things too, like the Book of Enoch that I draw a lot of inspiration from. So there may be stuff in the Book of Enoch that is there, but if you say, does that keep to the biblical narrative? Well, no, because that's not in the traditional, enumeration of the books of the Bible. So I would say I am heavily, heavily inspired by all of that. I've done a lot of reading in all of those in different texts, but not necessarily coming from the Bible, because there's some stuff about, Lucifer in the Bible, but a lot of that actually comes from other sources as well. Hayes McGee says, I'm so excited about these projects. You studied angels in the university? Well, that's really cool. I never got to do that. Angel name recommendation. Kazif, God's whip, the 13th angel of punishment. So, one thing I have been trying to make sure that all of the angels do. So we change this up. I've been trying to make sure that all of the angels' names end in EL. So that we have which means something like the radiant being, and then what their names are. So that's an interesting one. God's whip. So it was like Kaziphiel, the radiant being who is God's whip. That sounds pretty cool, actually. Michael of St. Joseph says maybe a better way of phrasing that was level of inspiration. So I would definitely as far as level of inspiration, highly inspired. The idea that originally inspired the idea of Theophany was the idea that there was a human civilization on Earth, and angelic civilization on Earth prior to Adam and Eve. So that was a primary inspiration for what got me thinking about Theophany in general, because this is much of the story takes place before Adam and Eve. So there you've got that as well. That's some interpretations that there was a whole civilization on Earth prior to Adam and Eve. That's not a very standard interpretation of biblical texts, but it's one of them. And I think it's a pretty cool one. I thought, oh man, that's perfect for a story. All right. I am out of here. I'm not going to stream tonight because I have got a lot of work to do. I got to do on projects. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to try to do 8 hours straight on actually not creative work, not YouTube, but actually trying to work on some projects to actually get, like I was talking about, the books out so we can get those to set up for print on demand. And I've got to look at Terra Tiles, and I've got to look at Ritual, and there's a lot of things like that I've got to do. So no stream tonight. There might be a stream tomorrow if I can invite somebody on, but on the other hand, I might just decide that I need the time for the next 2 days and see how deep I can get into this. So there will be no stream tonight, and maybe not tomorrow, but there will be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning we will be back on the morning grind. Tomorrow is Thursday. I need to pick out what topic we're doing. I do have the Starfinder box set. I need to set that up. So either tomorrow will be Thursday, either tomorrow or Friday, we will take a look at the Starfinder box set because I've got it over here. All right, everybody. So have a fantastic day, as Nerd Girl says, and grind on. I will see you in the morning.